One of the things that I have been doing is working my way through the Sermon on the Mount from the Greek New Testament, looking at each word linguistically along with commentary. And to hear these beautiful words of Jesus, to me, is so wonderful, especially from the Greek text. So we are in chapter 6, and we're at verse 1. It begins, Prasekate de ten dikaiasunen humon, me poien, imprastenton anthropon, prasta the Athenai autois, e de mege mistan uk ekete para to patri humon to entois uranois. Pay close attention that your righteousness, that you do not do it before men to be seen by them. And if not, you are not having a reward from your Father who is in heaven. Notice there is the teaching about almsgiving, and the Lord stresses not to do it for show or to see, for others to see what you're doing. So it begins with prosekate, which is your present indicative active. It's a present active imperative. Beware. That is, you beware. Second person plural from proseko, meaning to beware or to give heed to something. So beware that your righteousness, notice dikaiasunen here means what you're doing in your righteous deeds. And in this case, looking at almsgiving. By the way, when Paul uses the word dikaiasune, it also has the meaning of God's deeds in bringing Christ and the justification that he gives by his death upon the cross to those that are willing to accept Christ in his justifying work. But here, it's looking at deeds. It's sort of like Jesus said, accept your righteousness, exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees. You will not even see the kingdom of heaven. So pay close attention that your righteousness, notice humon, by the way, this is in the accusative feminine noun, in dikai asunes, first declension noun, with the accusative feminine article in tain. So pay close attention that your righteousness, notice humon is your genitive plural, second person from the second person, se, su, soy, se, humes, humon, humois, humas. So this is humon. So give attention that your righteousness, that you do not do it, not to do. Notice the negative particle me, followed by poiein, which is a contract verb from poieo, and notice it's a present active infinitive from poieo, not to do before men. That is, notice imprastin is the preposition taking the genitive case in tone anthropon. The genitive plural, when you think of the second declension noun, anthropos, anthropo, 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 anthropon, and then anthropoi, and then anthropon, anthropois, anthropous. So this is your second declension noun in the genitive. Same way with tone, which is your genitive plural article. Again, reviewing the article, ha, tu, to, tan, hoi, ton, tois, tus. One of the best ways to learn the declensions is to work through the definite article. That would be the masculine. the feminine article would be he, tes, te, tain, chai, ton, tais, tas. And then you neuter ta, tu, to, ta, and ta, tau with your alpha, ta, aton, tois, ta. So I would learn that thoroughly, and then one would be able to determine whether you're looking at a first declension noun, which is your feminine noun, normally ending in an eta or an alpha, or a second declension noun, which normally ends in an O vowel, like anthropos. So at any rate, pay close attention that your righteousness not to do before men, to be seen. Notice pras ta, your preposition, and here we're introducing a purpose, for the purpose to be seen. From tha'amai, notice tha'athenai is your aorist infinitive passive, articular infinitive, for the purpose of being seen. By them, that is by men. And notice the'athenai, when we think of luo again, we have luthenai, which is your aorist infinitive passive with the theta eta in the new. So to be theaterized or seen by means of them. Notice how toys is taking the dative case here in our toys. You know, our tas, our tu, our to, our tan, our toy, our tone, our toys, our tu. So here it's the dative plural, to be seen by them. And if not, de means and, or but possibly. If not, if you don't do this, and notice the particle a may could be rendered if not, indeed, or if not, if you do not do this, that is to be careful that you don't do something just to be seen. Otherwise, you're not going to have the reward. So we could just translate this, but if not, notice he goes on, you are not having a reward from your Father who is in heaven. Notice mistan uk ekete. Mistan is, I would say, emphatic by position here, a reward you are not having. And it's the accusative singular from misthos. In other words, notice the on ending. And ekete is your present indicative active, a second person plural from echo. You are not having, uk is your negative particle, you are not having reward from your Father. Notice para takes the genitive, and to patri humon, from your Father. By the way, pater, patras, patri is a third declension noun, where the genitive pater, patras is not u, but patras, and now we have patri. So you are not having from your Father a reward, who, to here is your definite article translated here like a relative, who is in the heavens. Notice in tois uranois, we have the in preposition taking the dative plural in tois uranois, the dative articular use of the article tois, and then uranois being in the dative plural. And in Hebrew, this would be bashamayim, which would be in the heavens, a dual form in Hebrew, but it's translated in a plural here. So what he's really saying, what Jesus is teaching, don't do your righteousness, your deeds, to give alms, is in the context here, simply to be seen by others. Otherwise, you are not going to have a reward from your Father who is in heaven. Then he goes on, Chatenun poies ele elemasune, me salpisse implastensu, hosper hoi hupakritai poiusen in tais synagogais, kai in tais chrumais, hapus daxastosin hupaton anthropon, amen lego humin, apekusin ton miston alton. That is, whenever you do alms, do not blow the trumpet before you, as the hypocrites are doing in the synagogues and in the streets, like in the narrow streets, that they might be glorified or praised by men. Verily I say to you, they are having their reward. And it's only going to be a human reward, not a divine reward. And so he goes then, as we look at it, chatan, when therefore, we render therefore, and chatan, whenever it happens, therefore, that you do alms, that you should do alms. Notice poies, chatan here takes the is subjunctive, present subjunctive active, second person singular from poieo. So when therefore you do alms, notice ele masunein is your accusative singular, and I'm thinking it's used in a collective sense here. Meaning alms. So whenever you do your alms, do not blow the trumpet before you. Me salpisse. Notice me is your negative particle, and salpisse is from salpizo, to blow the trumpet. Here we have the aorist, do not blow. Here we have the aorist subjunctive, second person singular from salpizo. Notice the sigma in your eta, iota subscript, and another final sigma. I'm thinking if we were going to look at the aorist subjunctive from luo, luso, luces, luce, and so forth, lusomen, lucete, lusocene. So you have the sigma and then your eta, iota subscript, indicative of your aorist subjunctive. So do not blow before you. Notice implasten, the preposition taking the genitive case in su. So do not blow before you the trumpet. Hosper hoi hupakritai poiusin. In other words, as, and he's giving an illustration here, as the play actors do. Hoi hupakritai, as the hypocrites, those that are playing at something rather than being sincere. So as the hypocrites are doing, notice poiusin is from poieo, present indicative active, third person plural, from poieo. In thinking of the luo stem, remember we have luo, lues, lue, luamen, luete, luusin. And here we have poiusin. The reason for the circumflex accent is it was a contract verb, poiusin becoming poiusin, where the epsilon has now gone together with the usin, causing a lengthening. So as we move on, as the hypocrites are doing in the synagogues, notice in here is taking the dative plural in tais synagoges, meaning the synagogues. And we have the feminine article in tais followed by synagogais, which is again from synagoge, your feminine in the plural, a dative from synagoge. And in the streets, notice kai is your conjunction in, or and, excuse me, and in is your preposition taking the dative case, in the streets. And humais is probably looking at the narrow streets of, of Palestine. And so do not, or of Israel, do not blow the trumpet as the hypocrites are doing in the synagogue, making a public statement. And some believe this might have been a literal kind of a thing, where the trumpet was really blown when people would give money for something. Otherwise, it could also be a metaphor. In other words, don't make a public spectacle of your giving. And then it goes on, hupos doxastosin, hupaton anthropon. That for the purpose that they might be praised or glorified by men. Notice doxazo is the root here, and notice the theta omega, and think about the aorist passive subjunctive, lutho, luthes, luthe, luthomen, luthete, luthosin. And that's what we have here, that they might be aorist passive subjunctive from doxazo, that they might be glorified by men. Notice hupa takes the genitive case and it's in the plural with tone anthropon, with the definite article in tone, and anthropon, the plural ending, our own ending, showing that we're looking at a plural genitive. By men, verily, truly, amen, going back to the Hebrew, amen, verily, I say to you, notice lego is your present indicative active, first person singular from lego. I say to you, and humen is your dative plural, again, from second person, personal pronoun. Verily I say to you, they are receiving back their reward. It's only going to be from men. And notice to receive back, apekusin, means to receive or to get back. And here we have present indicative active, the third person plural from apeko, meaning to receive back. So they are receiving back in full is the idea, but it's only going to be a human reception or receiving. So they are receiving back their reward. Ton miston is the accusative, masculine singular. Alton is your genitive plural. So what Jesus is teaching is don't make a public spectacle of what you're giving. It always bothered me when in some situations there would be a listing of what people gave. And I just have a hard time seeing that with what Jesus is teaching here. So as we move on in verse 3, Suda poiuntas ele emasunen me genoto he aristrasu ti poie he dexiasu. That is, and when you do your alms or the alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Notice here, su is going with the participle poiuntas. Poiuntas is from poieo, and notice we are looking at a present active participle, genitive singular from poieo. So, and it's with su, so it's what we call a genitive absolute. It stands alone. When you do alms, then boom, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And so in grammar, it's called a genitive absolute. It's in the genitive, it's a participle with the second person singular personal pronoun in su. So do not do your alms, and excuse me, but I should say, doing, when you do your alms, and we're probably looking at a temporal type participle here, when you do your alms, And eleemasune is your accusative singular. So when you do your alms, and it means alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Me genoto. Notice genoto, you think about your second aorist, and this is a second aorist imperative, third person singular, from genosko. Egnon is your second aorist. It's interesting when you look at your principal parts of genosko, genosko, genosomai, egnon. And so we come to the imperative, it's genoto. Do not let your left hand know. And think about lusai, lusai, lusato, lusate, lusato. And here we have the oto. We don't have the sigma because it's a second aorist, so genoto. But you do have your tau and your omega. So do not let, in this imperative, aorist imperative, third person singular, do not let your left hand, and notice he aristerasu means your left hand, do not let your left hand know what t poi a, what your right hand is doing. Notice t means whatever, and poi a is from poi eo, present indicative active third person singular from poi eo, contract verb again, poi a becoming poi a with the circumflex accent. So do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And he dexiasu means the right hand of you, or your right hand. Again, with your genitive singular in su. So what he's saying is, what Jesus is teaching, I believe, do it where no one really knows what you're doing. And don't even let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. I had a humorous incident happen one time when I was in seminary. Someone, a scholar, wrote this huge tome, and he repeated himself several times, saying the same thing, which we all do, but from the beginning to the end. And someone made a comment, I think sometimes he's not sure, his left hand is not sure what his right hand is doing. And so at any rate, sort of a humorous thing. But it means that it's not to be a public spectacle. And then in verse 4, chapos esu he ele masune into grupto, ke chapater su hablepon into grupto apodose, or apadose soy. Notice that your alms might be in secret. Notice chapos is introducing another subjunctive in a. You think of the subjunctive of a me, and a would be that your alms might be a present subjunctive third person singular from the verb a me. That your alms might be in, and notice in takes the dative case here with the article in secret, into grupto. And then kai chapater su, your father, who is seeing in secret. Notice hablepon is an articular participle, present masculine singular from blepo. Think of the participle luon, luontas, luonti, luonta, and so forth. And so this is on. Or if you were doing it with a me, on, antas, anti, anta. So that on is showing that we're looking at a participle masculine singular from blepo. So the one who sees in the secret, notice in is taking your dative case in to, grupto, then will repay you. Hapadose soy. will reward to you or will pay you. Notice give back or repay back is the idea. It's from apodidomi. Notice it's the future indicative active, third person singular from apodidomi. So the one who sees in secret, he will render back or repay to you, a dative in soy. So what we have here is a beautiful teaching about giving to others, but don't do it to be seen publicly. Do it in a private way, and the Lord who sees will reward you. I think so much in life, whatever we do, even in serving our Lord, we shouldn't be looking for the human reward, but for the well done, good and faithful servant, when we someday see the Lord, if we have our faith rooted in Him as our personal Lord and Savior. Thank you. I've enjoyed doing this. I hope it's helping in your Greek as well as the interpretation of this beautiful, beautiful Sermon on the Mount.